John Bradford, Victoria. Where's the trophy?
Yeah, trophy's at the office. They wouldn't let me keep it. I've got a medal back here somewhere, which is nice, so it's good.
I mean, how much of this has sunk in yet? First off, for those who are just listening, by the way, the victorious head coach of North Carolina FC winning the USL League One championship over the weekend. How much of this has sunk in so far? You got the medal, the trophy's not there at the house, but how much of this has sunk in?
Yeah, I'd say a good portion of it. We've been able to reflect on this year, and then obviously what happened on Sunday. But Monday and Tuesday we were doing exit player meetings with all the guys and making sure we're covering our bases there. And there's been a lot of other things to take care of in the meantime. But we're still very ecstatic about it. Very satisfied with the outcome for this long year for this great group of players. So
has this been a caffeine and carbs diet for you ever since the championship game, where everybody's knocking on your door and Jake Levy's answering emails? Let's see if we can get everybody squared away. What has your diet been like ever since? Have you had a chance to breathe?
It's been busy, but I'll say that I've always been a caffeine guy. Multiple coffees throughout the day, so I was well prepped to be able to adjust and handle it.
Was there a moment in the season where you kind of might have had a moment to yourself and you sat there, okay, something special might be going on here with this group? Or was it just a gradual thing, and when you got into the postseason, it's hitting everything the right way and every cylinder is meshing all at the same time? Or was there a moment where you're like, yeah, man, something special is going on here?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's never something where you want to go down early in a game and then have to fight your way back and that kind of thing. But there was a stretch of games where we conceded early in the first half, and sometimes against a run of play or whatever it may be, and then ultimately fought back and even did and went ahead and won those games. And during that stretch, after having 2021 and 2022, where that was kind of the script, where maybe we'd go up early or we'd concede early or whatever it would be, and ultimately we wouldn't be successful at the game. This group showed a lot of character and a lot of ability to fight through that. And like I said, obviously we didn't want to go down, but there was a stretch where it was like, okay, if the group can find ways to win games even when we're not at our best, and continue to push forward, then we've got ourselves a chance.
When it comes to USL League One, I don't think a lot of folks outside of the USL footprint may understand just how incredibly competitive the league is top to bottom. For someone who's in there in a day in and day out basis, how tough is USL League One for someone who's never seen it?
I think it's incredibly competitive. It's good organizations, it's good coaching staffs, and the player pool is very good. And I think the reason for that is because the players are coming in with different experiences and different motivations and that kind of thing. There's several guys that have had MLS experience, and this might just be a different moment in their career. There's several guys that are on the younger end that this is going to be their platform to be able to break through and push forward and upward. There's a lot of internationals that maybe are unknown and that use League One as kind of the opportunity to be visible and have those opportunities. So the player pool that comes together throughout is quite strong, and I think getting stronger.
Take me into the locker room for the championship game. And I know that you can divulge as much information as you want. Since I didn't have a camera there and I wasn't there over your shoulder to listen to what was going on, what were the conversations going into the match? And we'll take this a section at a time, but going into this match against a rival like Charlotte, what were the conversations like just before you're going out there before first whistle?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's preparation and there's the ability to talk specifically about how we think Charlotte's going to line up, and there's the lineup exchange that always happens an hour and a half or an hour a little bit before the game, so you know exactly who they're going to be putting on the field. So you have to share that information with the players, but ultimately our guess was exactly right. I'm sure Charlotte's guess was exactly right on what we were going to do, and so there wasn't much about brand new tactics. Then it just becomes a reminder of everything the guys have been through to get to this stage, and just a motivation to try to get out there and execute when the moment really matters.
So then you go through 90. You keep going. How crazy is it for you on the sidelines to try to make sure that everyone is still focused on the task at hand, you and the coaching staff, knowing that they're gassed, knowing that mentally they still have to be locked into a situation like this, and getting to that final end moment where you're trying to sit there and finally to determine a champion? How crazy is it when you're later than late, you're tired, you're more tired than tired, to try to keep everybody, including the coaching staff and all of the support staff, locked in so you guys can finish the deal?
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of emotion. There's a ton of everybody trying to make sure that those moments that you do have on the sideline, that you make the best of them or using them. But with our group, if you've ever seen our sideline, it's never me as one person talking to a group of players and trying to say to them, you got to do this, you got to do that. It's a collection of people that are all pulling in the right direction and helping each other. Sometimes there's guys that are gassed that usually have a voice, and maybe somebody else steps up and come on, guys, we got this. Let's keep going. There's multiple staff that are talking to each individual and that kind of thing, and in a couple different moments throughout that time that you have on the sideline. But overall, there's a belief, there's an energy. When we conceded on the corner kick, I think everybody obviously was disappointed in that, but quickly then turned to, okay, now we've got 15 minutes to make sure that our season ends the way that we wanted to, and did awesome to be able to pull that out.
When it comes to PKs, you've got your order set, or at least you've got a good vibe as to what you want your order to be. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We spent a lot of time on penalties, as you have to once we got into the postseason. Whether it's every day after training and trying to figure out what the order is going to be, which players are going to be the ones that feel comfortable and confident to be able to get it done, and kind of go from there. And then from the goalkeeping standpoint, I think it was, in all honesty, it was helpful, obviously, to have Charlotte have to go to PKs at Omaha the week before and have a lot of same guys step up and go a lot of same directions. And obviously, we try to be prepared in every way, shape, and form throughout the season, and penalties was definitely one of those too.
When you look at penalties, before the last words, once again, before you send the guys back out there to where they have to stand and watch and participate and watch some more and participate and watch some more, what are your last words for them in that group before they leave the touchline and the bench, before you send them back out there?
Yeah, I mean, a bit of belief and a bit of just, take a deep breath. This is not the end of the world, and all that kind of stuff. Go out with confidence and do something that you've done a million times before, and just do it in the best possible way you can. And the players also had their own messages. That kind of same kind of feeling of just like, hey guys, we're here. It's okay. Take a deep breath, go out there and just get it done. And ultimately, we have a ton of confidence in Brooks Thompson as well. We knew that he had to make one save. And then the guys had to execute, and it's exactly how it played out. Kid made an unbelievable save to push it on the underside of the crossbar. Each one of the guys that stepped up to take a penalty did so with confidence and quality. It worked out well.
Yeah, safe to say it did. John Bradford, head coach of North Carolina FC, hanging out with us here on the morning show. When it comes to you and this particular season, did you learn anything about yourself as a coach during this run and getting a championship? Did you learn anything about yourself as a coach?
I think I learned a ton, and learning from the other coaches in our coaching staff, learning from the players, learning from the game situations. Every season's a little different, and every game is a little different, and every group of players is a little different, and each locker room is different. So, everything that happened this year, I just tried to obviously do the best I could for the players and our staff in every way, but also learn. If this worked, if that didn't work, if this approach with that player didn't quite get the result that we wanted, or it did, and now we know that this is a different way to approach this guy in this moment. I think those are all things that are able to take away from and push forward with.
All right, time to talk about your players a lot. And if you want to run down the roster and talk about how all these guys did some fantastic things, go for it. But I know a lot of folks look at the releases. It's like you've got 3 guys from the front 7 or 8 that are on the first team in USL League One. But when you look at this group of players, what has stood out individually and collectively about this group that got a title? So when I mention, I'm not going to mention player names because I know you can probably run through all of them. But when it comes to this group of guys, what has stuck with you about this group and about how they've evolved as players this season?
Yeah, I think their competitiveness, in the training environment specifically, has been one of these where every single day, when the guys show up to work and they're trying to improve themselves and improve the team, there's a level of respect, but there's also a level of accountability that the training environment has been positive and tough some days, and some hard tackles some days, and some words some days, but always ends with a handshake and a let's move forward kind of attitude. And I think off the field, a team, I've said this in a few of the interviews I've done, a team goes through so much, that each individual player might have circumstances that they're dealing with off the field. There might be injuries, there might be, whatever. And when you have a team that's there for each other and continues to try to support one another, it absolutely translates onto the field. And those moments that are in need of somebody else to step up and kind of pull along a teammate or something like that, when that happens, I think it's all from the collective environment on and off the field.
What's it like for you as a coach to see the players who at the beginning of the season are still trying to get adjusted to each other, try to figure out, okay, if I move here, or you go here, you do this, for them to have each other's backs, to have that develop, to have those relationships develop. When you see the light come on for a player like, the player on the roster, and you see the collective come together, what's it like for you and the staff to see that light come on for these players?
I think that's what it's all about. I mean, you see either a player step up for one another, or you see a player improve something that they weren't maybe didn't think they were capable of doing in the past. But I've been in professional soccer now for a little bit, but youth soccer for a long time prior, and parallel. And to see player development, to see player improvement, and whether that's learning how to do something better on the field, or just improve their mindset and their ability to affect the environment. That's why I'm in this, And so when you see those things happen on the field, it's the whole reason we do it.
And now there's no rest. I mean, first off, you're doing all these interviews, but there's no rest for North Carolina FC, because the kind of the nudge into the sternum, the elbow into the ribs, it's like, hey, you won promotion, and you're heading to you won promotion from USL League One. But the move was announced that North Carolina FC was heading back into USL Championship after a couple of years in USL League One. And I know that the work has probably already started in some aspects, but when you look at USL Championship, because the championship is coming up this weekend, when you look at USL Championship as an entity and what you're stepping into with this group, what are you most looking forward to, and what's on the to-do list that you have to cross off now?
Yeah, and I mean, you said it best. We've had to have already kind of been parallel with how we finished this season, and obviously fully focused on trying to win a championship like the guys were able to do. But because of the rules and because of the way that the contract and the notice of communication is all structured, you have to start having conversations with players that are going to be available. They've got this July 1st notice of contact thing. So anybody that's out of contract in November, people can start talking to them from outside clubs as early as July. So it's kind of crazy, but at the same time, you have to have these conversations, because otherwise you don't know how that's going to play out, and if you're going to miss an opportunity with a player. So we've been kind of slowly building the roster already for next year, having conversations with our current guys that we'll be offering contracts to as we go to the championship, and really excited about all of it, to be honest, because the support from the owner Steve Malik and the front office. Maybe potential new investors on the men's side. I mean, there's a growing momentum that's going to allow us to come into the USL Championship, back in the championship where we were before, at a high quality, and put together a good product on the field, and help our fan base continue to grow and come back to us. So there's a lot of exciting things happening with the club right now.
And you're ending up stepping back into rivalries against teams like Tampa Bay and Charleston, Lou City, Indy 11, Birmingham, a lot of these familiar foes. You're stepping back into these rivalries all over again. I know, as someone who covers the league, I'm looking forward to it. And if you ever want to break any news about players that you're keeping, you can always come on and you can sit there and say, okay, hey, look, Nelly, we're going to do this. Just hop in at any time. Coach, congratulations. Catch your breath for probably 15 or 20 minutes before you have to do the next one of these. Fantastic work this season by everybody down there at North Carolina FC. Congratulations once again. And find your caffeine, get it in an app, and we'll catch up with you soon, my friend. Congratulations.
John, I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.